Hey, I'm Rob with American Angling, and today we're talking about the Hunter Call of the Wild. We're looking at a tier list for all the DLCs, so let's jump right into this. The Bloodhound is the first one up, and this is the one that I think is super important for newer players. But if you're a little more experienced, a little better at tracking, it's not that great of a deal, as it can spook some animals as well. So we're gonna go ahead and throw this in the A tier. I believe this is a very important one. I use it constantly. A lot of people do, so that being said, it's a phenomenal add-on if you can afford to, but it's not a requirement by any means. Cuatro brought us the 6.5 Martinson, a bunch of ibex, mouflon, a wolf. Decent map, not great. I'm going to throw this down in C category. It's fine. It's a decent map, but it's not necessarily one that I would say go pick this up right now because it does something different, unique, or it's overly gorgeous. It's a good map. Duck and Cover. So Duck and Cover has decoys, the 20 gauge, and the waterfall blinds. If you're going to waterfall hunt, super important. You need it, but it's not a requirement. The collars work just well. You can crouch and just use collars, and they'll usually come right to you, so it's not like a huge deal. But if you're into waterfowl hunting, definitely worth picking up. The high-tech weapon pack is the night vision stuff. So you're talking the night vision binoculars, the scope, things that make the nighttime predator hunt actually possible. So if you're gonna do a great one black bear grind at drink time, you need this to make it as efficient as possible. Otherwise, if you're playing on like a TV and you have ending glare at all, you're not seeing anything at night. So I definitely would say pick this up. But being as you can just hunt most of the stuff during the day anyway, go to feed zones, go to rest zones, it's not a huge deal. I'm gonna throw this in the same category as Duck and Cover, where it's specific to you. If you're going to use it cool, but don't like go out of your way to think you need this, because it's not going to help your game out a ton. Medved. So Medved is a map that is phenomenal for grinding out moose. It's got some coolness to it, but at the same point, it's just blah, right? It's a pretty blah map. I'm going to throw this down in B category. It's not a map that I love by any means. It doesn't do anything unique. It's just snow. So there is that. Mississippi Acres, I think, is a strong map. It is something unique. It's heavily wooded, heavily engrossed, lots of vegetation. The unique mechanics of the alligator are really interesting. So that is going to go there right in A category by the Bloodhound, where I definitely say pick this up if you have some extra cash, but it's not like a super important must-have thing. The modern rifle pack comes with the Zarza 308. The 22 and the 223. The 223 and 22 both are outclassed by their guns, so they're not important. The 308 Zarza is, I think, the best rifle in the game as far as versatility goes. It has very little recoil. It hits hard. Hits about like 30-06. So the 30-06 is a very strong rifle as well. So those two paired together are great. But being as this is just one rifle out of all this pack, that's good. I'm going to actually throw this down into C tier because of the value proposition there of buying the DLC. So when it comes to this map, this is New England Mountains. It might be that I'm over the honeymoon stage, but I'm starting to kind of see some problems with this map where it's very hard to see animals. It's difficult to get all the need zones. With that said, lots of replayability. I spent a lot of time on it, and it's a very gorgeous map. I'm going to throw this actually up in A category, though, because the Kerman inline is so good. You need to use that muzzleloader. It puts moose down in a hurry. It puts deer down just in a second. Like, it's crazy. The Kerman makes this map pack phenomenal. I definitely say grab this if you have the opportunity to, because it's a great hunting map. If you're like, if you want to do more simulation type hunting, grab this map. Park Fernando. We're going to throw this down here. It's not a map that's heavily talked about. Puma was like the biggest thing with this map. It's fine. It doesn't do anything overly fantastic or great. It's kind of like Cuatro in that way. It's good, but it's just nothing fantastic, nothing overly revolutionary. Same with Rancho. Rancho's going to go down there as well. Not a great map. It's fine if you like coyote, fox, stuff like that, like hunting predators in plains. It's a Wild West type of map, so there is that. No, I'm a huge waterfowl guy. So Revontuli Coast, to me, is one of my favorite maps, but it's not necessarily overly different from like Leighton, for instance. If you have Leighton, I definitely would say think about this to get your moose grind and your whitetail grind done a little bit faster. But if you have something like New England Mountains and you enjoy the hunting aspect, then you might want to maybe go a different route. But I definitely say Revontuli, in my mind, is a grinding map, and it's phenomenal for waterfowl. There's so many waterfowl species on there, it's ridiculous. I'm gonna put it with Medved because of the different play styles on this map. It's not quite like my favorite map or the best map, but it's good. The Saber quad. So the quad is very, very important for people starting out the game, for people trying to find all the POIs. I think this is a B tier DLC. It's good. It's worth buying if you're just starting out. If you have most of your points found on all your maps, then don't worry about it. It's not a huge deal. It does make picking up animals a little bit faster, so there is that. But it's worth grabbing if you can get it for $1 or $2 type of thing. The Assorted sidearms pack. So this is the revolver, the 243, and the Glock. Which the revolver is fine. It's not really gonna be a center of discussion. The 243 pistol and the Glock are the two guns you're going to want out of this. I'm going to put this above the modern rifle pack because the revolver's not really used. The Glock is really only used to ward like wolves off. The 243 pistol is great, but it's the 243 is already in the game. The 243 is free, so there is that. Silver Ridge Peaks, in my mind, is like one of the better maps. Silver Ridge Peaks, there's lots of opportunity. It's great hunting. There's great opportunity for lots of different types of things on this map. The buffalo are a ton of fun, chasing them around on quads, shooting them with a longbow that you get with this DLC. It's a ton of fun to chase them down and just cause havoc on the back of a quad, pretending like it's a horse, right? Next up, we have the Smoking Barrels weapon pack. This is the Hudzik 50 cap lock. This is the M1 Grand, essentially, and the 1891 10 gauge shotgun. All of these guns are actually really, really good guns. The 10 gauge is phenomenal for geese. It does have, I believe it's 6 to 9 class for the slugs, so there is that opportunity for like water buffalo or Cape buffalo, regular old buffalo, things like that. So you do have that coverage. The M1 Grand is great. It's one of the best guns in the game, I would say. A lot of people probably agree with that, honestly. The Hudzik hits like a freaking freight train. If you hit a moose with that anywhere near the heart, it's going to die in its tracks. So I definitely am going to put this way up high. It is the gun pack to get first, in my opinion. So the number one map, I think, actually is Awaroa. This is because the 303 is a great rifle. The red deer hunting is like literally legendary at this point. Like if you're going to hunt red deer, this is where you go. So I definitely would say this is the map to grab if you're going to buy any map, because the money you can make off those red deer is insane. The hunting is phenomenal. The map's wide open, lots of shooting lanes, sets up well for stands. It's a very, very fun, well-played map. So tents and DLC in the DLC packs. There's discussion that needs to be had. Is some packs, like game packs when you buy it, have this built into it. Some do not. If they're playing a Game Pass, you need the tents. Like if you don't have tents and ground blinds, you have to have these. I'm going to say same thing with the tripods and tree stands, is you have to have these things. It makes the game way more playable. It makes the game way more enjoyable, and lets you actually harvest it's like 15 animals instead of 3 animals out of a zone. So it makes the game significantly easier as well to make sure you're getting all of your harvests. Next, we have Vurhonga Savanna. So the Savanna is a love it or hate it type of map. I'm going to go ahead and throw this for you guys. Unfortunately, a B tier. It's not a map that I care about. It's fine. It's kind of boring. I would love to see things like the Greater Kudu. I would love to see maybe elephant added, something like that. A little bigger species, something a little different, but the mechanics of it just aren't overly different from any other map. So for that alone, I mean, I can only do so much with that, right? The Weapon Pack 1 does contain the best 22 in the game, that Virant 22. However, it's paired with a cross-point crossbow and a recurve bow. The crossbow is good, but like you might as well use the later bow that has the rangefinder on it and all that. It just, The only gun worth having out of this is the 22, so for that alone, it's going to go down here. The 22 is great, though. It's got a 10-round mag. It accepts the 16 times scope, so you can really reach out and touch. It's phenomenal by itself. Next up, we have the drilling, the Mosin, and the Judge pistol revolver. It's just not really worth grabbing. I feel like the drilling doesn't, it does two things. It's a big, large rifle and a shotgun. It does two things mediocrely. The Mosin has lots of issues all the time. The 410 revolver type setup is just not great. There's no reason to really use it. So I'm going to put that way down there, unfortunately. Next up, we have the Eckler's 30-06, the 45 big bore air rifle, and the Anderson 22 pistol. So the 22 pistol is the best piece out of this. The 30-06, you might as well use the smoking barrels one because of the 30-06, and that is semi-automatic, so bolt action. The air rifle's cool. Does a lot of damage without making a ton of noise, so there's that. Better than the crossbow. And the Anderson 22 pistol is phenomenal. I love that thing. It's great for rabbit, great for just carrying with you for turkey, things like that. So I'm going to actually throw this probably in B tier. I would say it's about there. It's worth grabbing, so you're finding your zones. The air rifle stays pretty quiet, so you can take out animals without making a ton of noise and moving things around. So Goose Chase has to go in the B tier as well. That is because it's got the decoys, it's got the side-by-side that is I don't really care about. It's got the layout blinds. So the decoys and layout blinds obviously are pretty important for goose hunting. So you kind of need it if you want to do goose hunting, but again, the collars work from the tree lines, so you really don't need it, but it is very, very useful and effective. So, I mean, it's one of those things where it's kind of up to you with where you feel on that. But I'm going to say I use it enough to where I think it's important. Because I also use these decoys to mark my rabbit burrows. So if you are hunting rabbit burrows in maps that have waterfowl, you can use those waterfowl decoys to map those burrows on your maps. So just keep that in mind. Yukon Valley, this one contains the 300 Canning Magnum. That is like the biggest thing here. Is that alone, unfortunately, is going to put it to a S tier because it's such a good gun that alone carries the DLC. Yukon's great. Like, wolf hunting's cool. A lot of the aspects of the map is really interesting. However, you're really buying this for that 300 canning. So out of these two lodges, I think there's only really one lodge that you should be grabbing here, and that's going to be a Safari Lodge. That's going to go up to S tier because it's so dang good, and this is going to sit way down on C tier. It's a decent lodge, but I feel like the Safari Lodge just looks significantly better. But comment down below, guys, and let me know what you guys think. Is this a decent list? Where would you put what? Let me know what you guys are thinking in the comments down below. Have a good one, guys, and I will see you in the next one.